Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello again, our loyal anglers, and welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. This is Captain Rick Murphy, and hi Rick, and I am Brie Gabrielle, and here to give you a great show all about redfish.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh.
But first, let's welcome back the one and only Dave Ferrell.
Hello, hello.
Dave, we missed you.
I missed
Dave,
you guys
you got
too.
out of Cabo just in time.
Oh, man, I flew in like 2 days after a hurricane and got out right before one came.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
They got smoked.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rick, I know I've become a huge fan of fishing for red since becoming your lovely co-host, but I know these fish are also one of your favorites too.
Absolutely, Bree. You know, redfishing, I caught my first redfish in 1974.
Whoa.
Certainly the Saltwater Sportsman magazine photos is really exactly what that redfish's face looks like. Got a real short little nose, not quite as long as a bonefish, but as you can tell, they get brilliant in colors. And when you see these gold pumpkins floating on the surface, it really makes you excited. My good buddy Jeff Page, no stranger to redfishing. He's my partner in the redfish tours that we do, and certainly the Team Jägermeister. Congratulations to Jeffrey. We finished third in the Team of the Year in this Pro Elite Redfish Tour, Florida Pro. So,
I'm just kidding. Here, let's do it. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, good. All right. Let's get the show on the road now with Captain Jim Ross from the Central East region, where there are plenty of reds to go around all year long.
Well, you're right about that, Bree. This week's theme species should be our theme species just about every week here in the Central East region because we've got plenty of them. You can find them on the shallow flats, especially in the Indian and Banana rivers, because they boast huge expanses of grass and sand flats that can hold really, really good numbers of redfish throughout the year. And, of course, the Mosquito Lagoon. You know, it's synonymous with the word redfish. You say one, you mean the other. That particular one holds fish year-round, and you can always find redfish there. But what we don't talk about a lot is the Central East region inlets. We have 3 of them. One of them is Ponce, the other one is Canaveral, and the last one is Sebastian. They have rock jetties, which are great places to catch redfish, especially at this time of the year and into the fall. Now, you can use live baits or you can use artificial lures because they both work for redfish. And it doesn't matter if you're standing on the shoreline or the jetty, or you're wade fishing from the flats or the surf, or if you're on a paddleboard, kayak, or from a boat, you can catch redfish. They're super user-friendly, and you can catch them just about anywhere that you fish. Now, I got a picture here of Captain Glenn Austin showing me one of the redfish that he and his angler Doug Blanchard caught this week. And Glenn calls that an average redfish for Sebastian Inlet right now. That fish is 41 inches, by the way, in case you guys didn't see that thing.
That's a little more than average.
Fish.
That's a little more than average in my world, bub.
Well, we've got tarpon, too. You know, and the tarpon are roaming all up and down the lagoons right now. So you can find them busting glass minnows and finger mullet, or you can see them chasing little ballyhoo in the morning time frame. Up near the Tiger Shoal area in the Mosquito Lagoon and a little bit north of there, we're finding them. Also in the Indian River from Scottsmore down to about the Railroad Bridge. And then again, from the Merritt Island area down to about Satellite Beach. On the beach side, you can find them as well. And we got a pot of them roaming around the Cocoa area. So anywhere you want to go, inshore or nearshore, you're going to find them right now. Now, the juvenile fish from about 2 to 40 pounds are hitting flies, spoons, and plugs, or you can catch them on X-Wraps. That's a really good thing. Along the beach, live pogies or mullet on a 7/0 to 9/0 VMC circle hook seem to be working really well. Now, offshore...
Wait, Jim, before you go offshore, I want to go ahead and take a look at Navionics. You're just talking about the south end of your region. We're talking about Sebastian Inlet. Now, what Captain Jim says, guys, is right now on the incoming and the outgoing tide, there's a bunch of those big redfish that he was referring to. Now, at nighttime, the guys are using big baits and catching a lot of big fish. Now, the other thing that we were saying, if you're interested in sight fishing or possibly fishing much shallower, you can find some redfish up here in the Campbell Pocket as well. Now, remember this, the other thing that's happening in this region is certainly we've got mullet that are migrating down the intercoastal, so if you need to catch some bait, you can throw in and around all these spoil islands. All right, Jim, now go ahead and give me what's going on offshore.
All right, buddy, I appreciate that. I jumped right on past that. But you know what? The flounder bite's going nuts offshore right now up in the Ponce Inlet area, and it's trickling its way down through Canaveral and into Sebastian. You want to use a live fingerling mullet on a 3/4 to 2 ounce hookup jig head, and depending on the depth and the current, you want to be able to touch bottom and make sure that you can stay in contact with the bottom. Now, most of the time the flounder are around the sandy structures and not directly on top of the wreck, so you don't fish them like you would for grouper or snapper. You fish around the area. The flounder right now are running 3 to 5 pounds, but we've had fish to over 8 pounds coming in. And I've got a picture here of Greg Jonke and Bert Bandish with some nice Central East flounder that we caught while we were messing around outside of Canaveral the other day. Then the last thing that I was going to talk about is king mackerel. And the king mackerel are moving around like crazy right now, Rick. Every day they're on a different reef. They're in a different place. You're going to have to go and look for them. Most of the schools right now are staying in the 60 to 70-foot day reefs, and then the 80 to 90-foot reefs, depending on what section of the region you're in. Down to the south, 60 to 70. Up a little to the north, 80 to 90. Live mullet, sardines, and pogies are going to be your best baits right now. And you can also catch a few of them while you're slow trolling either a split billed or a chin-weighted ballyhoo right over those same reefs. Now, Captain Alex Cerise on the charter boat, the official business, has been consistently putting a lot of fish in the box the last couple of weeks for his clients. He's alternating his game plan. One day he's fishing the beach and the buoy line when there's a lot of bait and Spanish mackerel in there. When he doesn't see the Spanish mackerel busting or a lot of bait, then he's running out to the reefs, and he's doing pretty good. He's consistently catching fish in the 18 to 20-pound class, but we've had fish over 40 pounds come to the docks this week.
Wow, those are some good fish, Jim. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hookup lure hotspots in the Central East region. Captain Jim says inshore Ponce or Sebastian inlets for redfish use live mullet, croakers, or pinfish on a VMC circle hook. And then offshore, a mixed bag of tarpon, sharks, bonitas, and king mackerel near Cocoa Beach. Slow troll live pogies or mullet in 30 to 40-foot depth, Bree.
Sounds good, Rick, but we can't forget to mention the 3 great tournaments and one weekend, September 25th through the 28th, presented by MarineMax. The 16th annual New Smyrna Beach Billfish Invitational, where anglers fish with unrestricted tackle in this offshore World Championship qualifying event to target marlin and sailfish. The small boat division includes outboards and vessels under 40 feet. Anglers can compete for additional cash and prizes by entering NSBBC tournament simultaneously. The 6th annual New Smyrna Beach Backwater Tournament allows anglers to fish inshore while competing for the heaviest redfish and trout combination. Multiple tournament awards and cash prizes are available for entrance. And the 3rd event is the inaugural New Smyrna Beach Blue Water Challenge, where anglers fish unrestricted tackle for dolphin, wahoo, and tuna as a separate event or in conjunction with the Billfish Invitational. Each entry is eligible for a $5,000 cash prize for the heaviest fish weighed. In addition to the awards, you could win an invitation to the Offshore World Championship Tournament. Goals are to promote fall fishery, marine conservation, and provide scholarships to local high school students. The tournament has donated over $150,000 since 1999.
Good job, Bree. That's
Thanks.
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Okay, with fall quickly approaching, all of you Panhandle regioners should be getting excited because Captain Mike Mangum, filling in for Pat Janine today, says the Reds are ready to bite.
What do you got,
Mike?
Mike?
Guys. Man, I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me again. Let me fill in for Pat. So this time of year, early fall produces some of the best fishing in the region. As the temperatures start to taper off in Pensacola, Chocatchee Bay, and St. Andrews Bay, they become populated with big schools of the big bull reds. The go-to for catching them is fishing a falling tide around the bridges, the jetties, and other structures with live baits like crabs, live shrimp, and big pogies. And the redfish this time of year are typically north of the slot. So whenever I'm not throwing big flies at them, we like to use the lightest tackle setups that we can use. Usually just fishing Carolina rigs, 2 to 3 foot leaders with 1 to 2 circle hooks on that falling tide is the way to do it. Now, this past week, the red fishing was phenomenal in Chocatchee Bay, so it turned out to be the perfect conditions for the inaugural Breakwater Inshore Fishing Tournament held at Mangoes on the Bayou in Fort Walton Beach. And the central focus of the whole tournament was to raise money for the Ronald McDonald House charities in Northwest Florida, and it was incredibly well received, very friendly. A lot of big sponsors in the area got behind it. There was a kids pinfish division tournament held that evening, and there was also a motorized and non-motorized division for anglers. But after it was all said and done, the guys from Breakwater ended up raising over $2,000 for charity. And this is how little tournaments become big tournaments. It was their first time doing it. I know both of the owners I've actually known them since preschool, but they're really starting to make some noise in the area. And you can read more about it at breakwater850.com. And I've got 2 pictures here, Rick. Man, the first one is the guy responsible. You know my brother David, but he's like the Archie Manning of the fishing world. He's produced 2 guides. It's retired Colonel Denny Mangum with a big Choctachi Bay redfish.
That's a nice fish.
And
tell me about the second picture.
The second picture is those the guys from Breakwater. David Torres and Clint Moreland are the founding members and the owners of the company, and that's a check that they got to the Ronald McDonald House, man. And for 2 guys that's putting it together, that's a lot of money for a good cause.
All right, tell me about the Jack Crevalles, bub.
Okay, so as the redfish continue to move into the bays, so do the Jack Crevalle. And these big schools of jacks you can find roaming the bays and bayous and sound, and you can sight fish them whenever they're up on the surface busting baits in the morning. And Captain Clint Hood with Gulf Coast Inshore Charters is finding them on the reg in Choctachi Bay. He's usually finding them whenever they're busting mullets and pogies early in the morning. And the way he's been fishing to them is, man, I'm a big sight fishing dude, so this is pretty exciting. I want to get out there and do this with him. Is casting topwater baits like skitterwalks, top dogs, for the surface strikes around these big schools of bait. You can also use swim baits for them, but man, you can bring them to you if you want by fishing some of the deep water bridges and some of the major drop-off points by chumming them up with menhaden. And look, jacks this time of year range anywhere from 10 to 30 pounds. And this is a photo of Captain Clint with his client Nikki Kellaway. That's a stud jack. I mean, it just anywhere in Florida.
All right, you been catching any studs offshore?
Man, so Pat reported last week that the spur southwest of Destin has been the place to be, and that's still red hot. The boats that have been fishing around there have been raising lots of blue water pelagics. The hot boat in Destin right now is the Controlled Chaos, and the captain is Daniel Menard, and this boat just came in from an overnighter where they've been hammering big bull dolphins all over the weed lines and, the big grass islands and rips. Trolling lures around them. And this photo here is Jennifer Attaway, Dennis, and the mate, Dennis Bennett, with a nice bull dolphin that they just pulled off that trip. And I say this boat's the red hot boat, so in addition to, catching the nice bull dolphins, the wahoos have been around the grass a lot, but they've been raising a lot of marlin, both blues and whites. And as I mentioned before, on the same overnighter, they went 3 for 5 on blues. 3 for 3 on whites, and man, that's not a bad day anywhere of bill fishing in the state. So this last picture that I have here is Mike Attaway, Dennis Bennett, and Garrett Simpson with a nice white marlin that they caught right there around the spur, and they said the hot bite was a purple and black Moldcraft wide range lure.
All right, great job for filling in, Mike. We'll talk to you again soon. Let's go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Inshore, big redfish around the Destin Bridge. Both on the east and the west jetties using live shrimp, crabs, and big pogies. And then offshore, troll between the spur and the squiggles for blue and white marlin, looking for the rip lines for dolphin and big wahoos. Now with me, guys, we have...
Wait, Rick.
What?
You just going way too fast for me here. We just finished with Pat Deneen's region, and everyone don't forget to come see Rick and Pat at the National Shrimp Festival on October 11th and 12th in Gulf Shores, Alabama at the Chevy display area for some fishing seminars, great giveaways, and I'm sure for some great eating. Now, Rick, you can take it away.
I'm so excited about introducing the captain of the Sea Hunter, Mike Riff. And Mike, I want you to tell everybody what the Sea Hunter really is all about.
Well, the Sea Hunter is a 90-foot steel hull trawler converted into a liveaboard that sleeps 13 guests and 6 crew.
All right, so typically, Mike, the Sea Hunter, when we go out, let's roll the video here, guys. And the key is that this big, beautiful boat, 90 feet long, it sleeps 13 people.
13.
Now, what kind of fishing would we expect to do, Mike?
Well, we drag around a 36-foot sport fish, a 24-foot contender, and 2 17-foot skiffs, which allows us to do just about anything you can imagine.
Now, we can go offshore fishing, we can go inshore fishing. Tell me about the inshore fishing.
The inshore fishing with the 2 17-foot skiffs, we can drift the channels, go fishing for mutton snappers, lanes, and then right to the flats for the bonefish at the right tide.
Now, we do any, obviously, spear fishing, scuba diving?
All of it. Spear fishing, scuba diving, you name it. We can target just about any kind of activity or species you'd like.
Now, what about the food? You know anything about cooking?
I do. The food gets a few shout-outs just as much as the fishing does. And how can you go wrong with fresh conch, lobster, grouper, snapper, wahoo, tuna, dolphin? Just about coolers are full with that all day long.
Now, guys, what you don't know is that Captain Mike here, not only do we get to travel around beautiful places here in the Bahamas, but we also have the ability to book several different types of packages on the Sea Hunter. Why don't you tell us about that?
Correct. We right now we're offering from October through March split week charters, 3- and 4-day charters, and of course a 7-day charter as well.
And then if we want to know more information about those charters, how do we go?
You can contact me by my cell phone or on our website at goseahunter.com.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. Guys, I've been on the Sea Hunter 3 different times, and it's one of the most epic trips to be right there where the fish are. So I'm going to tell you, go call Captain Mike, go to the website, and get a day booked. Thanks, Mike, for being here.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Mike, for being here. I want to go on that trip. That food looks so good. We're going to call you Chefton, a captain and a chef. Okay, when we return on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're going off the deep end at the Jägermeister workbench and then casting on over to the Northwest region. Stay tuned. Dave.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Best parts, best prices. Bennett Auto Supply. Yeti Coolers. Wildly stronger. Keep ice longer. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 25 years. Contender Boats, performance through innovation. Humminbird, simply, clearly, better. The Florida Lottery, just imagine. And King Sailfish Mounts, www.kingsailfish.com.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Time when truck guys can depend on great offers on the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. I was born free. Chevy Silverado, from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Get $7,000 total value on the Silverado Crew Cab LT All-Star Edition, or trade up to get $8,500. See your local Chevy dealer today.
Yamaha's next-generation V6 four-strokes are changing the game.
Mid-range power was awesome.
Fuel, the burn, it's unbelievable.
Couldn't believe the speed and the fuel economy is pretty impressive.
I mean, I couldn't believe the power. It was like it was more like doing a quarter mile on a drag strip.
And them things are like, it's a whole nother game. So I made the switch.
Experience the difference for yourself during the Yamaha Discover V6 Offshore Demo Tour. See why we call it the Game Changer.
Jackpot!
Jackpot.
Jackpot!
Jackpot?
Jackpot! Jackpot!
Jackpot.
Jackpot! Jackpot!
Get ready for the Jackpot family of scratch-off games from the Florida Lottery. With a top prize of $2 million, jackpots will happen. Will you be ready for yours?
I got it.
The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
Time to go over the news and notes from the FWC. September 24th is the Wild Wednesday Outdoor Cooking Workshop in Brooksville. October 4th is a kids fishing clinic in St. Petersburg. October 11th, there's another kids clinic in Naples. And October 18th, check out Marine Quest in St. Petersburg. For more information, visit myfwc.com. Now it's time to go off the deep end.
Well, we're here at hummingbirds off the deep end at the Jägermeister workbench. Welcome back to your place where you do your best work, Dave.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So let's talk about redfish this
Well,
week.
you know, there's 3 different ways we chase them around this state. Maybe more, but 3 primary ways. One way I went with Jeffrey Page not too long ago, and we were out on, you know, just cruising around the bay there, looking for fish that we would spook, and we were looking for
rumble.
Exactly, make them get up and start to move around. And there had been one school that had been out there that he had been tracking for a couple days, and when we finally found it, we pretty much did what you normally do when you're chasing redfish in the run. Well, you have to get to position the boat to try to get out in front of them, and then you start throwing things that you can throw a long way. You want to make long casts to get out in front of that moving school, and it's kind of tricky because if you get out too far in front of a school of moving redfish like that, then you end up catching the little yellow jacks and hardtails and stuff that run. Usually when you get a big school of redfish, there'll be other fish around it, sometimes bluefish, you know, a lot of trash fish that'll be in the front. So what you do is you're going to make a long cast. You use, you know, big top water plugs like those big X-Wraps or a big chug bug or any kind of big mirror lure, you know, something that you can throw a long way and get way out in front of those moving fish. Again, you don't want to get out too far. You get out too far, you get the bluefish and the jack bite. And if you get behind them, nobody turns around to come back and get stuff. Yeah. Usually, if your cast falls short, you got to reel it up and get it back again. Now, we also have a big fishery here in the fall. On the East Coast, when all the fish start moving towards the inlets, they're starting to do their spawning deal. And so, especially up around Jacksonville, that Don Dingman fella up there, they'll get out in 35, 40 feet of water in the channel, where, you know, at the end of the Jacksonville River, and they'll start looking for marks. And once they start seeing fish marked up on the bottom, they'll toss an anchor out and they'll start going deep. And, you know, if you put a big quarter of a crab on a nice circle hook, maybe put a big pound of bank sinker in front of a circle hook with a big a whole quarter of a blue crab, lower it all the way to the bottom right in front of those schools fish, and pretty soon one's going to come up and grab it. Now, there are going to be a lot of big fish, you know, way outside the slot. They're between 25 and 50 pounds. You know, these are big, you know, so you want to use real heavy gear, not the kind of light spinning gear that you're going to use on the flats.
Now, what other ways do you guys catch them? A
lot of times we're out poling very softly in the Mosquito Lagoon or something. We're stalking individual fish, and that's when, you know, we start using, you know, 20-pound braid, jerk baits, you know, real light fluorocarbon, lighter stuff. We're fishing for fish that are, you know, between 8 and 25, 30 pounds tops usually, and we're trying to catch these fish when they're up in the shallow water. So you can't be real noisy. You know, they're very spooky when they get up in the shallower water, so you got to be a little bit more quiet. Again, you need to make long casts. That's why you use the braid and the 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, or even if you can't use the fluorocarbon. Sometimes when you try to tie the fluorocarbon to the braid, you can it's hard to tie the fluorocarbon, so you can just use regular monofilament. But I like to use any sort of weedless jerk bait, especially when you're in places where there's a lot of grass. If I'm using something other than a weedless bait, like even a jig-headed bait, sometimes I have a problem where I'll bury it in the grass before the fish can get it. And, you know, when you're hung up in the grass, that's not going to be a good thing. So if you can get away without the weight and can still make a long cast with a weedless bait with no weight on it, you're going to be a little better off.
You're right. But you know, we got to
that went quick.
I know. We got lots of other things to cover. And speaking of covering us, Bree's always got our back covered. So
yes, she does.
I thought you were going to say, speaking of being better off, let's move on to Bree over on the boat. Okay.
She is on the boat.
Moving on to the Northwest region where Captain Jeff Hageman runs the waters. I know personally there are plenty of reds to be caught.
There is. We have plenty of redfish in our region all year round. They tend to school up the most right now in the spring and the fall. Larger numbers can be found on the grass flats or on oyster bars, shell bars, docks, and passes. Can be caught on anything from spoons, live bait, dead bait, top water plugs first thing in the morning, late afternoons. Really a great fish to find. We don't have bonefish up here, so this is our tailing fish, and this is what we chase around here for sight casting. Our bigger breeded fish can be caught off the beaches and around the hard bottom when the kingfish are here. That's usually in the spring and the fall. And as far as baits for them, pinfish and swim baits are probably the two most effective out there. When you're king fishing, you might want to look around a little bit, let those big schools of breeder fish. It'll be a big red knot, and you can't miss them. A lot of fun. But also inshore, our trout bite in the upper half of my region is growing strong right now. Fish right now in anywhere from 4 to 6 feet of water over the grass flats. You want to fish over the broken bottom. In the morning, you want to start off with the top water, like a skidder walk and that moss back color. That's been really productive. As the sun gets up higher, you want to switch over to a subsurface or a bottom bait, like a jig. The nuclear chicken and bass assassin and the turbo shad has been working really good. Or a pinfish or a Cajun punt. Those are your two best baits for the trout bite right now. Moving offshore.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Captain Mario Costello at Crystal River reports Spanish mackerel are starting to fill up in larger numbers right now as more and more schools of bait fish come into the area. It's a great opportunity for anybody to practice their fishing skills right now and build confidence with artificial lures. These fish don't spook really easy. You can dive right up to them and see them crash these baits underneath birds and make long casts with artificials. A 2-aught Castmaster spoon or a 3/8 ounce jig head with a small plastic jig tail behind it, like a DOA cow or a bass assassin, works really good for these fast fish. Cast the baits in there and reel them as fast as you can back to the boat, like you're trying to pull them away from them, and you'll get some really hard strikes. Also offshore, the red grouper bite throughout the region right now seems to be on fire and has been all summer. The south part of my region, you want to look for fish in anywhere from 40 to 80 feet of water over the flat rock and Swiss cheese bottom. And in the north, you want to fish in that 60 to 90 feet of water in that same flat rock bottom. Both north and south, you want to use squid and cut sardines for bait on a standard bottom rig, or a knocker rig also works very effectively.
Man, that's a good, quick report. Great report from the Yeti Northwest region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Drummond Community Bank hotspots. Let's see. Inshore, snook on the beginning of the outgoing tide around the passes and the points of the outer islands from St. Pete to Anclote. And then offshore, red grouper seem to be everywhere in 25 to 120 feet of water over any flat rock or live bottom. That's a big span, 25 to 120 feet.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay, guys, don't swim off, because when we return, we're hearing from the Southwest and Southeast regions right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. What are you doing?
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by YAMAHA. Reliability starts here. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. Guy Harvey Clothing by AFTCO. Croakies, made in the USA. Drummond Community Bank. Costa, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
Jackpot! Jackpot. Jackpot.
Jackpot?
Jackpot. 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 Jackpot.
Get ready for the jackpot family of scratch-off games from the Florida Lottery. With a top prize of $2 million, jackpots will happen. Will you be ready for yours?
I got it.
The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
What is CCA? CCA has been representing recreational fishermen for over 25 years, and when your rights to fish are threatened, the CCA is there to make sure government regulators are making sound decisions. I'm a life member of CCA, and when fishery decisions are being made, the CCA in the room is fighting for our recreational rights. We need to give our kids the same opportunities to fish as we did. Do what I did. Go to ccaflorida.org and join for only $25 so you can protect your recreational angling rights.
Hi, I'm Harold Bennett. My dad started Bennett Auto Supply over 57 years ago. Things have changed since then. We've grown to 33 stores and opened a 93,000 square foot distribution center. But one thing has stayed the same, our focus on the customer. That's why we have the most knowledgeable parts specialists in the business, and we only offer quality auto parts at the guaranteed lowest prices. The next time you need anything for your vehicle, think Bennett Auto Supply. Best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply.
It's Chevy Truck Month. time when truck guys can depend on great offers on the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. Chevy Silverado, from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Get $7,000 total value on the Silverado Crew Cab LT All-Star Edition, or trade up to get $8,500. See your local Chevy dealer today.
Welcome back, everybody, and we do want to mention, hosted by StayInCostaRica.com, enter to win a Costa Rican getaway with Sportsman Adventures. This 3-night stay for 4 people at Los Sueños Resort includes an adventure tour and a day of fishing. To enter, go to ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com or SportsmanAdventures.com. Sounds like fun.
It is. I was just there. It was just awesome.
You went surfing.
Surfing, crocodile.
He got in the water.
Zip lines, you name it.
You name it, he did it, whatever.
Even
and
ate Costa Rican food.
Here to give us a thorough redfish report is Captain Ron Houston from the Southwest region. Hey, Ronnie.
Hey, thanks for letting me represent the CCA Southwest region, but you know what? Redfish can be caught inshore, offshore, and in the backcountry, and even in intercoastal docks, seawalls, and rivers. Now, generally, the winter, focus on your backcountry rivers, intercoastal docks, seawalls, and flats by simply using cut shrimp or tip jigs would probably be the easiest way. On the offshore side, concentrate on wrecks, rock piles, and head pins, and usually by using larger live baits. And obviously, most of the fish will be oversized, or basically what we call the bull redfish. But from late winter through fall, your most common baits will be pinfish, pilchards, live shrimp, cut baits to include mullet, ladyfish, shrimp, pilchards, and herring. But really, all you need is a variety of topwater walk-the-dog lures, lip plugs, bucktails, artificial soft plastic shrimp, and other soft plastics including Bass Assassin sea shads, die dappers, elite shiners. But truthfully, guys, a simple gold spoon will catch just as many fish, and we all forget about that. And I got a very special picture, and I want to thank everybody from the Take a Soldier Fishing last week. Thank you to all. But a very special picture of Chris Pound and John Makowitz with the second place finish in fishing that tournament. And it was really not about winning the tournament. It was all about having pride and taking these guys and showing them a good day. But on the inshore report, the snook. You want to concentrate on looking for these fish in the Peace River and the Caloosahatchee River, as close as I-75, and really from Highway 29 to Okeechobee. Now, what you're doing here is you're looking for a pattern of moving water along with rock piles, docks, fallen trees, culverts, and look for white foam on top of the water. Now, you can use lip plugs that dive as a variety, or artificial swim baits with paddle tails, or simply by trolling down the edges to locate your fish. And once you hook up, you might have found a zone. Double back and study the area and figure out why you caught that fish and looking for something similar down both rivers. Right now, there's some snook being caught in the rivers right now, plenty of slot size, but then also some 40-inch fish. Now, on the offshore side, the red groupers. You want to concentrate from redfish pass to new pass. Concentrate on hard bottom and ledges in depths of 30 to 50 feet of water by simply drifting or until you start to locate fish. Then what you want to do is you want to anchor up. Now, fish the area to see if you can catch some keepers. If the fish are too small, pull the anchor and drift until you start catching some bigger fish. Baits of choice to include pinfish, front, herring, bucktail tip with squid, or use cut squid, sardines, and herring. Like I've said in the last 2 weeks, fish are starting to move a little bit closer. Also on the offshore side, the permits. Indian Key to Big Marco Pass, fishing wrecks, rock piles, and towers. 12 to 20 miles out, looking for fish to be on top or drifting till you find them on the bottom finder. Live crabs have been working well. Bright colored bucktails tipped with shrimp. And just a little tip, water temperatures are starting to cool off, guys, so things will start to change, so get them while you can. A few special mentions. The CCA, very important in my region and in Rick's region. Biscayne Bay. Some things coming up. You guys want to get into that, look into it, and support it. Also in the Everglades region, we've had some issues. Get on there and look that up. But also in the Southwest region on November 7th, we've got the inaugural Guardian Anglers Tournament, catch and release, live bait, and artificial. So look all that up. Also get in there and show your report for the CCA region.
All right, thank you so much, Ronnie. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions about CCA or those special projects, go to cca.org, and they can get any of your questions answered there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Florida Outdoor Experience hotspots from the Southwest region. Inshore, mangrove snapper, Sugar Bay to Pumpkin Bay, fishing low water on points with current or fallen trees using live shrimp. And then offshore, Spanish mackerel, Stump Pass to Sanibel Beach, line in 12 miles out. Be awake for scattered kingfish, Bree.
Okie dokie, Rick. Staying in the South, let's go straight across this beautiful state to get the weekend report from Captain Jimbo Thomas in the Southeast region.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Jimbo.
Well, you know, we don't catch any redfish in the Southeast region, so you got anything else you want to talk about?
No, let's just go ahead and start your region. Tell me what you got.
That's not exactly true, but they definitely are not a very common catch. Now, the best areas to target reds in the Southeast region would be the western shoreline of Biscayne Bay from Black Point south to Turkey Point, where there are still a few survivors left over from the redfish restocking effort that took place sometime in the 1990s. Now, I would imagine that most of these fish have been caught and released more than once. So from what I've heard, they're a little more spooky than the average redfish. But just like the redfish anywhere else, they'll eat live pilchards, pinfish, shrimp, or crabs, or soft jigs, or jigs and soft plastics. And anywhere else throughout the region, redfish are a rare, if not unheard of, catch. But what we don't have in the way of redfish, we make up with snook here in the Southeast region. And right now, all of the inlets are holding good amounts of snook. But the problem is that most of them are over slot size, but that's a pretty good problem to have in my opinion. Live baits drifted near the bottom on a Jupiter rig has been working best. And whatever bait is the most abundant in your particular inlet is going to work the best. We got mullet, pinfish, croakers, herring, and pilchards. Those are some of the more popular baits. And then if there's no live bait around, try bouncing 3/8 to 1 ounce jigs or jerk baits along the bottom. That will work. The trick is to stay near the bottom. You want to keep your bait near the bottom, but you might lose a jig or two, but that's what it's going to take to get the bites. Now, the last of the incoming tide and then an hour or two after the start of the outgoing is when these snook are going to bite the best. And that's when the water's not moving as fast, so it does allow you to hold the bottom a little better. Also, the mouths of the open spillways are also producing some big snook. Captain Danny Barrow has been fishing the spillway canals from Boca to West Palm Beach, and he's been finding slot and over slot sized fish. A 6-inch live mullet's been his bait of choice. He's also been getting bites using the new DOA 4-inch shad in glow and gold colors. Now, I got a photo here. This is Dr. Barry Wilson of Kansas City. He caught and released this monster snook fishing the Snook Islands with Captain Danny Barrow, and it ate a 10-inch mullet in 2 feet of water along the edge of the mangrove.
All right.
So moving offshore.
Go ahead, Jimbo. Give it to me.
You got it. Offshore, there's been plenty of bonita or little toonie, whatever you want to call them. Most offshore fishermen look down on these poor little bonitas because at times they can be a nuisance. But if you like to do some light tackle, catch and release fishing, bonita are an easy target, and on top of that, they're not shy or spooky eaters. Now, people go out of the way to catch bonefish and tarpon and sailfish, but pound for pound, bonita will outfight most other fish. Now, you want to look for these bonita in 90 to 200 feet of water. Start trolling some small feathers until the fish are located. The color of the lure should not matter. Then once you locate the fish, stop and drift with live pilchards or cast small jigs and spoons. Another great way to fish these is to live chum small pilchards and then cast surface lures or flies to these bonitas once they come up into the freebies. Now, most of these boneheads, as we call them, have been in the 8 to 10 pound class, and I like to keep 1 or 2 of them each day for cut or strip bait. Now, moving a little further offshore, the day and nighttime sword fishing has been as good as it gets. Right now, it's prime time to catch a sword, coming off the full moon a week and a half ago, along with this beautiful calm weather that we've been having. Now, in the daytime, the bite has been on rig squid and bonita strips. There's been no problem catching those bonitas. And then dolphin belly strips also work good. We like to fish them near the bottom in 1,500 to 2,000 feet of water, and the morning bite seems to be the best. And in the evenings, when the fish come up closer to the surface, we want to fish a staggered spread of rig squid and live baits. The most popular live baits are blue and rainbow runners, speedos, and tinker mackerel. Most of these swords have been good-sized fish in the 100 to 300-pound range. And then on Wednesday morning, our good friend Captain Bouncer Smith, he caught 2 swordfish in the 200 to 250-pound range. So there's some big fish out there.
All right, good report, Jimbo. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Southeast region hotspots. Captain Jimbo says inshore bounce jigs and drift live baits through your local inlets in the early morning or late afternoon for those big snook. And then offshore, catch a few bonitas, strip them out, and head offshore and drop them down for daytime swordfish, Bree.
Speaking of the Southeast region, Rick,
yes,
come out and meet Rick and I at the Fort Lauderdale Boat
please do.
Show on November 1st and 2nd. I can't believe it's already been this much time since the Miami Boat Show.
I know.
Oh my gosh, time flies when you're having lots of fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys, stay hooked if you want to see some of the newest fishing products on the market, along with a great report from the Central East region. Stay tuned, only on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. There it is.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Guy Harvey, artist, explorer, marine scientist, conservationist, diver, and fisherman. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. Maverick Boat Company, makers of premium boat brands, Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Navionics, we start where the road ends.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
Jackpot! Jackpot. Jackpot. Jackpot? Jackpot. 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 Jackpot.
Get ready for the Jackpot family of scratch-off games from the Florida Lottery. With a top prize of $2 million, jackpots will happen. Will you be ready for yours?
I got it.
The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender boats. Performance through innovation.
Suffix 832 is constructed with 7 strands of Dyneema and a single strand of Gore Performance Fiber. It's the roundest, longest casting line in the world. It offers superior abrasion resistance so you can fish it anywhere. It's the strongest, most sensitive, and durable small diameter braid ever to hit the water. Nice fish, Brett.
Thanks.
Suffix 832. Always use the best line.
It's the boat show. The Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, October 30th through November 3rd. It's a family affair. See over 1,000 boats of all shapes and sizes with factory experts on site. Catch cruising, fishing, and diving seminars, free kids fishing clinics, electronics, art, jewelry, and fashion, food, drinks, live music, and opening night fireworks. All at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, October 30th through November 3rd. Get discount tickets at showmanagement.com.
We always do some good work over here at the Jägermeister Workbench, Dave, and new products is something I really look forward to. So
At least I do, anyway.
What you got this week?
Well, we got some cool stuff from Logic Lures. These are some of their little plastic baits, plastic soft baits. They're scented, obviously, with anise, and fish oil.
Anisette.
Well, that's not the whole
cool.
word. Yeah, they're very, I like these little.
Smell like licorice.
Yes, they do. And they got these little, really cool little flip tails on them with little circles in them. You know, so it really gives it a good flutter design. 3D eyes, that's a little 4-inch. come in, you know, like 34 different colors and glitters, and you know, just a really good little plastic bait. And they also make this the wiggly jig head. You're not gonna, you might be able to get that thing open. Look at the guns on you. But these have the little wiggly jiggly, and that has an articulated jig head, and you put that thing on there, and it really can move. They say it's 90% better than one without
well, let's see.
the
While
jig
you're
head.
talking about the next thing, let's see here.
You got it right on there. Well, we also, from Logix,
right,
is these nice ceramic cutters. And you know, when you're always having a hard time finding something that'll cut braid and stay sharp, and ceramic will cut braid and it will stay incredibly sharp, and it will not rust, or ever, and it will just slice this braid to pieces. It's so sharp. You know, usually you're gnawing on it.
Yeah, it's cutting.
And especially when you get this really small stuff, you know, sometimes you'll be gnawing on it with a pair of scissors, but these things just crush it. And these are the Ceramics Universal Cutting Tool, they call them, and they're from Logix Lures as well.
Too. Cool.
Correct. And also, next we've got this Seagar Thread Lock, which is a high impact braid. This is 60 pound. This stuff is a hollow core braid, so you can put a 16 strand hollow core braid. So it's really, really limber for how big it is. You know, for 60 pounds.
Right.
It's hollow core, so you can actually put an 80-pound leader up inside of it. You know, to make wind-on leaders, so you don't have to tie knots because it has a hollow core.
Oh,
so
cool.
you know, it's really good stuff, and it has a very high impact, so it's really good for bottom fishing. You don't have to worry, because some braids you have to worry about when you get an impact, you can snap it. Well, not with that. This one of the last things we have here is a Columbia packable Hydrotech jacket. And what I like about this, you can see it's wrinkled up.
Right.
I've rolled it up as tight as I could get it to make a little tiny thing. This is an Omnitech jacket. You know, Columbia makes great stuff. This is completely waterproof. It's incredibly lightweight. And if you're traveling nowadays, they wanted to charge me $200 for an over bag coming back from Cabo. An overweight bag. So anything that you can do to keep things light on your body, as well as keep it light when you're packing to go places, is a really good thing. And this is Columbia's ultra light deal.
Now, Dave, we got a new thing from King Sailfish. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
Well, you know, a long time ago, I got with Ray a long time ago and was really excited about his whole business, because he started one of the whole things where you didn't have to take a fish to make a mount. You know, he was one of the first guys to really push that whole idea through, that you don't have to kill a fish to get a mount of it. So he came out with this nice website, IGotOneOn.com, where you can go while you can even be catching the fish, have a mate take a picture, fill in the details on the app, and order the mount from the boat with the app.
What I like is whether it's from the boat, you can send in the picture of the fish that you caught, so he can make sure he gets all the color right. You can be driving home talking about how awesome the trip was.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And what a great gift for your kids, or maybe for your father-in-law that's got a fish of a lifetime.
And you don't have to kill a fish to make a mount.
No, you really don't.
Which is really a great thing, and they're beautiful. You look around the set, you can't find a skin mount that looks anywhere near as beautiful as these.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of beautiful, you know.
You're talking about me still?
The lady in pink.
Oh, Rick, you're being nice now. That's good.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going out on a limb here and saying that the next captain in the Central West region is the Redfish King, along with Captain Rick, of course, and is going to tell you everything you need to know about this weekend's Redfish Bite. Are you blushing, Captain Page?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
As you both know, Rick and Bree, there's no shortage of redfish in the Starbright Central West region. And this time of year is probably the best time to catch big breeder fish and upper slot fish as well. Look for the big schools holding on the bars out front of Bull and Turtle Bay in the south part of my region, as well as Long Bar and the Bulkhead bars to the north part. Try staying off the fish as far as possible, and then you can throw like suspending lures like the Rapala Bone Subwalk or the Saltwater Assassin 5-inch golden brim jerkbait on a 1/4-ounce chartreuse hookup jig head. And for live bait guys, you can throw corked pinfish or pilchards, because there's a lot of grass, and it's not like they're always going to be sitting in the sand hole. So if you cork them, it keeps them up out of the grass. Or if they are on a sand hole or a drop-off, you can throw chunks of ladyfish rigged on 3/0 circle hooks, CMC 3/0 circle hooks. In South Tampa Bay, Captain Jared Simonetti reports nice upper slot fish in the Fort DeSoto flats. He's been doing better on the higher stages of the tide, and I've got some photos tonight. First photo is of the Folk family with a limit of redfish they caught with Captain Jared. And the second photo is a good friend of Rick and I's, Jeremy Lee and his partner James Cawley with their winning fish from the Florida Pro Redfish Tournament out of Sarasota this past weekend. They were in a 22 Pathfinder, and they caught their fish on the Saltwater Assassin Mama's 14-karat Elite Shiner.
Mama done took it to us, didn't she, Paige? That Mama's 14-karat Bass Assassin kicked our tail.
I know it, but
That's
at
all
least
right.
it was some friends of ours.
That's right. Let's talk about some trout fishing inshore,
All right, speckled trout. Nice trout fishing happening around that Long Bar area and the deeper grass flats north of there off Rattlesnake Key and Emerson Point. Live free-line pilchards and the Saltwater Assassin Sea Shad in the Violet Moon pattern on an 1/8-ounce hookup jig head or the Mirrolure Mirrodine MR17. Trout are averaging 16 to 22 inches.
All right, let's go offshore, Bub.
Offshore, first species, red grouper. Captain Jason Sherrill, the Bad Habits, reports nice red groupers that have been continuing to come in off the 110 to 120-foot area. Hard bottom's been the key, and he's been using live pinfish as well as live grunts. But when Daisy hasn't been able to get those, like some of these bad weather days like we had today, cut sardines are working just as well. I got a photo tonight of Larry Blanton with a nice red grouper that he caught aboard the Bad Habit. Species 2, mangrove snapper. Captain Jason says nice mangs still coming in from wrecks, ledges, and hard bottom, 75 to 110 feet of water. He's chumming lightly. He's getting his boat anchored up properly. Live pilchards or sardines or select shrimp rigged on a 1/2-ounce hookup jig head. Real quick, don't forget Suncoast shootouts going on this weekend. For you guys that want to see some really nice offshore species as well as inshore species, come on out to beautiful downtown Marina Jack Docks Saturday afternoon starting at 2 o'clock and stay for all the festivities.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey. Great report from the StarTron Central West region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Tires Plus Central West hotspots. Inshore, redfish, big schools of reds on the Weeden Island flats. Live pinfish or pilchards, best bet. And then offshore, gag groupers, troll for gags in 35 to 50 feet of water over the ledges and hard bottom with gold or chartreuse X-Wrap 30s, Bree.
Were you mad when I called him the king?
No,
just for a second.
Just a little.
That's all right. Nice. Okay, I know we have you hooked, but stick around because when we return, we are seeing what's biting in the East and the Keys regions this coming weekend. We'll be right back.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy, find new roads. Alukai, fit by nature, crafted by hand. Best parts, best prices. Bennett Auto Supply. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. StarTron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And YAMAHA. Reliability starts here.
It's Chevy Truck Month, time when truck guys can depend on great offers on the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. Chevy Silverado, from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Get $7,000 total value on the Silverado Crew Cab LT All-Star Edition, or trade up to get $8,500. See your local Chevy dealer today.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now. You know, Bree, we have this beautiful Chevy Silverado sitting here, and it's all Mac-daddied out.
Yes, it is.
And the reason why is because Chevy has a whole bunch of accessory options. So let's take a look what Maria from Chevy had to say at one of our local dealers.
All right. Hello everyone, and we are here at our local Chevrolet dealership. I am here with beautiful Maria, who is part of the Chevy accessories team, and she is going to tell us everything we need to know about personalizing our Chevy. Hi Maria.
Hi Bree, thank you. We have several options in grills. We have tow hook covers that also come in chrome. We offer fog lamps for most of our vehicles. We offer several options in wheels, 20s, 22s, any way you like it to show your personality. We offer our step here. This is a 6-inch chrome, also available in the 4-inch and in black in both sizes. We offer the very nice bling of this chrome mirror cap. So inside for your vehicle, you can change your steering wheel as well as your console. Remember, all these items carry the same 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty as your vehicle. In the back seat, we offer a nifty feature of the under-seat storage, which also offers a lot of security for the items you want to leave in your vehicle when you're locking it up.
Right.
We have a nice sturdy bed liner here and offer several options in toolboxes, different styles, different types to meet your needs and functions. Also from the side, we offer a tonneau cover, several styles as well. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, Chevy wants you to be happy with your purchase and comfortable for your needs.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Maria. And if you have any more questions, you can always go to your local Chevrolet dealership.
You know, the whole idea, Bree, about picking out a truck or even a boat is figuring out what your needs are. Once you've done that, then your job becomes very easy, just like your job.
My job's pretty hard, actually.
Oh,
you work me to the bone.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, in the East region, it sounds like I need to head out to the inlets, seeing as this is the best month of the year to catch schooling reds on the flats, says Captain Mike Holiday.
That's what he says.
That's the truth, Bree. September and October every year, we don't have a ton of redfish in my region. We got a pretty fair amount, and those fish school up on the flats and cut those big classic wakes that you expect to see when they chase the mullet schools. Now, close to the inlets, the Sailfish Point flats and J.C. Park flats, they get a fair amount of blacktip sharks on them as well, and that can make the redfish skittish. But you know, on the Northbridge flats, the mooring flats, and the old inlet area of Fort Pierce, those fish just rule the shallows. The redfish will get up there and just clean a flat off. You can fish them with a live or dead finger mullet. You can do just as well with soft plastics like a 4-inch bass assassin shad in that bad to the bone, the copper juice, or the new penny colors. And if that water gets a little tannic, stained from the rain, go to that Mama's 14K colored shad, and you'll do really well. Really, any of the shads, the sea shads, the dye dappers, any of those with gold glitter in them will work really well. And when you hook a fish, watch for followers that are on the back of the hooked fish. That gives you your other angler an opportunity to cast to it, cast to your hook fish, and double up. An average redfish in September is going to be 25 to 35 inches. I got a photo there. That's Tony Arias and Bill Kleiss. They caught that redfish on the Sailfish Point flats, and that fish ate a chicken on the chain colored bass assassin 4-inch shad. The other bite we got going, the snook bite's outstanding. The key is it's outstanding wherever the mullet are concentrated. If you don't see mullet, move on, because that's what's making the fish active during the day or night. We're starting to see some of the higher tides, so the seawalls in the St. Lucie River have some big fish on them, as does the Intercoastal Waterway south of Hope Sound and also in the Intercoastal around Old Port Cove. I had some photos sent to me also this week of some big snook caught slow trolling finger mullet in the Loxahatchee River, and also some shots of fish caught around the Boynton Spillway. So the snook are really starting to chew right now. For bait, it's pretty hard to beat a 6 to 10 inch mullet, although, you know, at first light, topwater plugs, dye dappers, elite shiners, any of those in silver and black are pretty deadly. You can also fish the shadow lines of North Bridge and South Bridge in Fort Pierce, and also the Jensen Mosquito Bridge at night, throwing swimming plugs and get some really nice slot fish. There's also a good population of snook on the beaches right now, chasing the finger mullet schools. Jensen Public Beach and Hope Sound Public Beach are producing a lot of slot fish right now. The average snook in my region is 6 to 16 pounds.
Let's go offshore, Mike.
Well, you know, the dolphin bite was scattered this week in anywhere from 100 feet of water on out, but the most consistent dolphin bite has been out deep in anywhere from 400 to 1,500 feet of water on the floating weeds and debris. That's certainly where the bigger fish are and the better number of fish are coming from. Inside of 400 feet, anglers are kind of picking away onesie twosies, you know, mostly school-sized dolphin under 10 pounds. With finger mullet plentiful around the inlets, you can, you know, on your way out the inlet, stop, throw your cast net, load the live well, and either slow troll those finger mullet offshore or drift with them, or run and gun the weed lines and floats them, you know, just pitching live mullet out. Rig them with a 30-pound tackle, 60-pound monofilament leader, and a 4-0 hook, and, you know, just keep some light spinning rods rigged with yellow hookup jigs to throw at those schoolies, and also the triple tail that have been around that weed right now. Average dolphin's like 5 to 10 pounds, and you also might want to have a rod rigged with wire just in case a wahoo takes an interest in your baits. And, you know, speaking of wahoo, that's our second species offshore. There's a decent wahoo bite from Boynton Inlet all the way up to the power plant in St. Lucie County. That bite's been, you know, somewhat scattered in like 120 to 350 feet of water, which is why the high-speed trollers are catching the majority of fish, simply because they cover a lot of water. The key for wahoo fishing is to get your baits below the surface using either a wire line, a planer, a downrigger, you know, a trolling weight, or using weighted or deep diving lures like, you know, purple or orange Yozuri Bonita, or a red and black Williamson wahoo catcher, or a ballyhoo wahoo express. All those have been really productive lures lately. You can also troll, you know, double hook ballyhoo, rig ballyhoo, swimming mullet on number 8 wire with a red and black Islander lure in front of it, or slow troll, you know, big live mullet or blue runner on a wire stinger rig. A lot of the wahoo are in a 20-pound class. A lot of them are weehoos, but there are some fish up around 40 pounds in the mix. I got a photo of one of those nice fish. Don Mabley caught that big wahoo. He was high-speed trolling out of Jupiter with Captain Eric Gates on freight train fishing. So, you know, there's a good number of wahoo still out there, guys.
All right, Mike, like we talk about bass every week, give it to me, man.
Well, you know what? If you've been out in the mornings, you know it's cooler. That drop in temperatures in the mornings has really fired up the bass in the Stick Marsh Farm 13 reservoir up there in Fellsmere from first light to about 11 o'clock in the morning. Action's going later now. It was 10 o'clock a month ago. Now it's 11 o'clock. Best action is still wherever you can find running water, like around the pump house and the mouths of the canals, around spillways, but there's also been a decent bite along the hydrilla line in Farm 13 and also along the wood along the shoreline. The guys that are doing well are throwing June bug-colored worms, fish with a drop shot, shad-colored crankbaits, or white spinnerbaits, and most of the guys are catching 15 to 25 fish a morning. What's nice is that there's been a lot of 3 to 4 pound fish in that mix, along with occasional big fish. And if you're looking for the big fish, live shiners are going to get those fish, particularly in the middle of the day as things warm up. But most of the water, you know, most of the anglers I'm talking to are off by about 11 o'clock in the morning right now.
All right, great report from the Bennett Auto Supply East Region, Mike. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the East Region hotspots brought to you by WaterwayCafe.com. Inshore, tarpon in Fort Pierce Inlet in the Turning Basin, slow troll live mullet on a 7.0 VMC tournament circle hook. And then offshore, mutton snappers off of Juneau, 90 to 110 feet of water, drift with sardines, cigar minnows, and squid, Bree.
Sounds good, Rick. Now we're going to mosey on down to visit Captain Randy Tao in the Keys region for a report that won't disappoint.
Don't.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, we've got some really good red fishing in our backcountry and certainly around Flamingo, I think some of the best it's been ever since that freeze a couple, 4 or 5 years ago. Our red fishing has just gotten better and better, and a lot of guys have turned to doing that because our bone fishing has slowed down a little bit. Now, some of the guys have technical boats, and these are boats that go shallow, get way up on the flat on these tides. Whenever you have an incoming tide, for example, you can follow these fish way up on the flat with the right boat. If you don't have that boat, you're kind of limited. But the guys up there, they're finding plenty of redfish, tailing, and they're also finding snook too. So that shallow water fishing has been really good throughout the summer. Now, if you're in a bay boat or something a little bigger where you draft some more water, you can't get up there. But what you're doing is you're fishing along some of the shorelines. You're fishing some of the runoffs, especially on the outgoing tides, where you've got the water falling off of these flats and dropping into a channel that might be 5 or 6 feet deep. A lot of these redfish will stack up in these channels, and they're pretty receptive to eating your jig or a live finger mullet or a small pinfish, something like that on a hookup. Quarter-ounce hookup is a real good combination there with a live bait. And the shoreline fishing has been good. Now, just like the flats, as the shorelines have water, those fish are going to come out of those trees, and they're going to be off the shoreline a little bit. So the shoreline fishing isn't as good on the low tides because that water drops out, so you want to fish in the deeper channels and runoffs. But the red fishing right now from the guys I've been talking to has remained really strong throughout this summer.
All right, what about the snook, Bub?
The snook fishing has still been very good. A lot of guys catching big snook. We've had fish in the 34, 35, even up to 39 inches, I've heard, and I've had some guys catch some 39-inch fish myself. But our snook fishing is decent, and it's kind of tidal. Depending on where you're fishing, if you're one of those guys with the technical boat, you're finding these fish on the incoming tide on top of the flats where you can sight cast to them. And then if you're dealing with a bigger boat, like a bay boat, out to the west along the shorelines, Cape Sable, some of that deeper water, you're finding these bigger snook. Still some spawning snook out there, and there hasn't been many in the slot size to keep, but I've got a photo of Vic Grand from Pompano with one of the big snook we've been catching back there this year.
That really looks good there, Randy. Let's go ahead and go offshore, bub.
Our blackfin tuna bite finally started to get good. The last couple of weeks, the tunas have showed up, and they've been cooperating pretty much for anybody that wants to go out there. Now, depending on your setup, if you're a trolling guy, if you're a live bait guy, it just depends on how you want to target your fish. Now, the trolling guys are going out with dark-colored feathers or small lures in a dark color, or they're fishing a small black plastic worm. I talked to Captain Mel Walker on the Gotcha charter boat out of Holiday Isles. He was catching some 20-pound tunas on the worms the other day. So that bite has been good on the troll, and if you're fortunate enough to get live bait like pilchards, or you want to spend the time catching some of the small jacks and runners that are under the seaweed, you can get on these offshore humps, and you can chum with them, and you can catch some of the bigger fish. And I've got a photo of Captain Brian Gawilliams with his angler, Bill Bensor, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, they caught this big tuna. That was a 20-pounder. They caught on a topwater plug at the Alamorada Hump.
Wow, that's nice. All right, tell me about the swordfish quickly, please.
This time of year, we've got nice weather. The daytime swordfish bite is good. A lot of guys are getting in on it. 1,400 to 1,700 feet has been kind of the area you want to look in. And a fresh strip bait like a bonita or a dolphin belly or a barracuda is going to work the best for you. You want to have a heavy rod to do that. Now, I've got a photo of Captain Rick Rodriguez's 480-pound fish. He's got a charter boat, the Seahorse, out of Whale Harbor that they caught over the weekend straight out front of Alamorada.
Man, that's a Seahorse laying in the Seahorse, man. That's a stud fish. Good job, Randy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the La Jolla hotspots from the Florida Keys. Captain Randy says, inshore, Redfish, fish the flats on the incoming tide around Flamingo as the tide starts to fall. Fish the edges of the channels. And then offshore, swordfish, drop the baits between 14 and 1,700 feet, drift with the current, and keep your line straight up and down.
You know what time it is?
It's time.
It's tournament time.
Yes, it is.
It's time to tell you about some tournaments in the Florida Keys. That's what time it is. All right, the Take Stock in Children Backcountry Challenge, scheduled for September 26th through the 28th in Key Largo, raises funds for a statewide scholarship program for youngsters. Trophies are awarded in adult and pro divisions, as well as first place snook, trout, and redfish prizes for juniors. The second of 3 annual Keys tournaments that raise funds for cystic fibrosis research and treatment, the Robert James Sales Bay Bone Celebrity Tournament is set for October 10th through the 12th in Key Largo. The final tournament is the Robert James Sales Red Bone, set for November 7th to the 9th in Islamorada. The Islamorada Fall All-Tackle Bonefish and Permit Tournament, scheduled for October 13th through the 15th, is a 3-day challenge that attracts energized newcomers to face seasoned veterans. And at the Chica Lodge All-American Backcountry Tournament, set for November 13th through the 15th in Islamorada, anglers are to compete for prizes and trophies while targeting snook, redfish, bonefish, tarpon, and permit. And now we are hearing from the one and only Andy Newman.
Hey, Andy.
Hey guys, there's a new twist to the Mad Dog Managed Fishing Classic scheduled for October 3rd and 4th in Islamorada. Now, anglers can choose to fish the offshore division or a new inshore division. Prizes include cash awards, trophies, and artwork by Islamorada's Pasta Pantaleo. The tournament honors the late Jim Mad Dog Manage. He's a former Miami Dolphins star tight end who unfortunately died in 2011 of bile duct cancer. Thus, the reason why a portion of tournament proceeds benefits oncology services at Mariners Hospital in the Keys. More details at maddogclassic.com, and for more information on all tournaments and events in the Florida Keys, go to flakeys.com. Back to you in the studio.
Good old Andy, thanks. All right, almost there, guys. When we come back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we'll hear your Coastal Conservation Minute tip and then head on up to the Northeast region. Look at that red.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. Just imagine. Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. Tires Plus, total car care. The IGFA, conservation through education. Get your hands wet. Florida Outdoor Experience. Lumber Rock. Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a paw and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
YAMAHA Lodge, Guatemala.
StarTron is a multifunctional fuel additive that uses enzyme technology. StarTron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Engines powered by StarTron treated fuel start easily and run smoothly with fewer emissions and better fuel economy. StarTron restores octane to old substandard fuel. StarTron's enzyme formula enhances combustion for a more complete fuel burn. StarTron, it's not the engine, it's the fuel.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Time when truck guys can depend on great offers on the 2014 North American Truck of the Year.
I was born free.
Chevy Silverado, from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road. Get $7,000 total value on the Silverado Crew Cab LT All-Star Edition, or trade up to get $8,500. See your local Chevy dealer today.
Today's Costa Conservation Minute is about using a landing net. Now let me explain something, guys. Whether you fish inshore or offshore, we know we've all flipped the dolphin from offshore fishing into the deck. And when he hits the deck, he jumps all over the place, certainly gives himself a headache. And no matter what happens, it's certainly not good for that fish to be bouncing on the deck. When you go and buy a net, you might want to consider a net that has a nice coating on the net mesh. The rope meshes have a tendency to knock the slime off of the fish and actually knock some of the scales off the fish, which isn't good. But these plastic coatings like this particular fray bill seem to work very well. The other thing that comes to mind, and truly is part of the reason why it's more conservation oriented for the fish, or better for the fish, is that when the fish's weight is laying in this net, it has a tendency to bend him. And when a fish is bent, he becomes a lot more docile. So just like you see with these snook, you'll see that it seems to be a lot better. You can control the fish and then get them back in the water as quickly as possible. So keep that in mind. Use your landing net, whether you're fishing inshore or offshore. See me reeling it in?
I did. I also saw your cute little bandana around your little neck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now for our last region, Captain Russell Theron can tell you a thing or two about the reds in the Northeast region.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick. Yeah, redfish, without a doubt, is one of my favorite species. And you know what? We're at the right time, September and October. These are two of the best months to target the redfish here in Northeast Florida. Now, there's a variety of ways and fishing strategies that you can catch redfish. You know, you can fish the shell beds by bottom fishing along the ICW or in the rivers and creeks in 4 to 12 foot of water. Surf fishing is also a great way to catch redfish in the fall, as they're following the schools of mullet that are migrating. Now, sight fishermen enjoy the flooded grass flats for the tailing redfish. And also, don't forget the fishing the low tides during the early morning hours at first light is another great way to target the redfish by sight fishing. You know, the best baits that the redfish love to eat are fresh cut crab, of course, cut mullet and ladyfish. They also like live baits like mud menace and fingerling mullet, and they love also, you know, live and dead shrimp. They all will work very well. Because the redfish are opportunists, they're very competitive, and you will find that artificials also work very good. The key to fishing the artificials is by fishing 3 parts of the water column. And, of course, that's the top, the bottom, and, of course, the middle. Locate the redfish. My most favorite lures to fish is, without a doubt, the Rapala skitter walk in, you know, the trout pattern, topwater plug, and, of course, the Bass Assassin sea shad jerk baits. Typical size redfish will run anywhere from 3 to 6 pounds. I have a redfish photo of Austin Wolf. He caught a nice redfish on a Rapala skitter walk, topwater plug, this past Friday near St. Augustine. Way to go, Austin. I know you love to walk that dog. All right, also staying inshore, Rick, we want to talk about the great sea trout fishing that's going on right now, mainly because the mullet run is off the chain. Now, what you want to do is target the big sea trout that are feeding on the fingerling mullet as they migrate to the south. Watch for the mullet getting knocked out of the water, you know, by the sea trout. This is a great way to locate the trout bite along the grass lines or in the creek mouths and on the points, too. Use topwater plugs to imitate wounded or injured mullet. The Rapala skitter walk is a great topwater plug to use by walking the dog and is our favorite topwater plug. Also, don't forget or underestimate the power of the storm chug bug and the mullet pattern. This is a hot lure, brother, and it doesn't require the coordination of a walk-the-dog lure. Just remember, turn and pop, but never set the hook until you feel the take. Typical sea trout are going to run anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds, and a gator trout runs over 5 pounds. Now I have a sea trout photo of Rick Smith with a real nice sea trout that he caught behind here on Amelia Island in the Nassau River. Did you see the storm chug bug in that photo? All right, moving offshore, Rick, we've got to talk about the vermilion snapper, which is also our beeliners as far as a local term here and our region. Now, I'm getting some good reports of the beeliner bite here in our region, and the beeliners are being caught in 115 to 120 foot of water over the artificial reefs and wrecks and live natural bottoms. Now, what you want to do is use a three-way swivel with enough weight to hold the bottom, especially in strong current. Or you also definitely want to use heavy leaders, at least up to 80 pound, and tie on a 5/0 VMC circle hooks. Now, the bait of choice for the beeliners is also cut squid and cut Boston mackerel. Typical size beeliners are only going to run between 2 and 3 pounds. Now, you're also offshore, you want to target the triggerfish. Now, if it's not too rough to get offshore this weekend, target the triggerfish on the artificial reefs and wrecks and live bottoms in 75 to 110 foot of water. When the weather has the muddy offshore waters, what you want to do is you want to use the fresh bait for its scent. The triggerfish really depend on their sense of smell, and don't forget to downsize those hooks. The best baits for the triggerfish is a cut or fresh cut cigar minnow or a fresh cut piece of white squid. Typical size of the triggerfish are going to run anywhere from 4 to 6 pounds.
All right, thanks, Russell. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northeast CCA region. Inshore, the redfish and sea trout are feeding on the mullet run. Use topwater plugs at daylight this weekend during the falling tide. And then offshore, catch beeliner, sea bass, and triggerfish on the reefs, 75 to 110 feet of water. Use cut cigar minnows and squid for bait.
All right, Rick. Well, the CCA still wants to give you a boat, and being raffled is a Contender 28 tournament series with a Maritrel trailer, a Pathfinder with a Maritrel trailer, and a Hells Bay with a custom trailer. And of course, all of these beautiful boats come with YAMAHA motors. But remember, if you win and you don't want the boat, you can opt for a cash prize. All you have to do is go to ccaboatraffle.org and enter to win. Well, Rick, the reports are in. But don't pull the anchor up just yet, because when we come back, we are telling you what to expect for next week on our last show of the season. We'll be right back.
Oh, no, not the last one.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Time when truck guys can depend on great offers on the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. Chevy Silverado, from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Get $7,000 total value on the Silverado Crew Cab LT All-Star Edition, or trade up to get $8,500. See your local Chevy dealer today.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Jackpot! Jackpot. Jackpot.
Jackpot?
Jackpot. 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 Jackpot.
Get ready for the jackpot family of scratch-off games from the Florida Lottery. With a top prize of $2 million, jackpots will happen. Will you be ready for yours?
I got
The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report right on your YouTube channel. And make sure to check out our website for fishing reports in your region. Visit www.ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up. Next week on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we are going hunting. Make sure to tune in to SunSports every Thursday. Plus, you can catch repeats of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report on Fridays and Saturdays. Check your local listings for times. Hey, guys.
Man, I'm excited. Next
knock
week,
his eyeball out.
Hey, we got Gray Drummond from Florida Outdoor Experiences coming in. He's going to talk about hog hunting at night. And then Allie Hobson's coming in, and she's going to do the new products.
I love Allie.
Yeah, I've had the nasty hog on my back before.
Bree,
Bye,
good
guys.
job tonight.
Come on, don't leave me hanging.
Good job. Thank you guys so much.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.